Welcome back. I'm the Space Cadet. You're the Space Cases. And this is episode 3 of our series, Are We There Yet? The series where we examine the officially published history of known space and try to figure out how we've managed not to wipe ourselves out yet. So stay tuned. Mr. Whizbang, roll the intro.
Righto, Space Cadet.
Strap in. In this episode, we're going to be looking at Standard Year 110 to Standard Year 200, because apparently nothing interesting happened between 100 and 110. At least, nothing the Protectorate wants us to know about anyway. Standard Year 110. Probes are sent to the far reaches of Lemurian space. 2 moons of gas giants in the system are determined to have limited useful atmospheres, in that people can be forced to mine them to make the elites richer. 2 probes are sent to nearby systems as well. Astronomers in the EF believe these systems house habitable planets, and both systems appear to have megastructures that orbit stars and collect energy for use by their creators. Or perhaps they're abandoned fast food restaurants that humans can take over. Only time will tell. It will take between 120 and 200 years for each system to be explored, which should give the GOL plenty of time to come up with a way to force people to go there against their will, but make it seem like an opportunity. Standard Year 125. A colony ship with 75,000 volunteers and draftees departs Lemuria for Amphitryon. The trip takes a little under half a year. The largest continent is colonized along the temperate band. The CS Alpha is stripped for parts in the process. Only one remains. Sure. Whatever, guys. Travel between systems is limited to GOL officials and the EF. The draftees are assured they will be granted leave to visit the families they left behind on Lemuria in due time, so long as they file the appropriate leave request forms in triplicate, ensuring they also fill out the GOL advice for consent form in triplicate, and file all paperwork with the GOL or their local GOL office inside the specified time frame during local business hours, in black ink. The reproduction mandate stands for colonists as a means to ensure the human race can exist on 2 separate worlds, because the elites need more wage slaves in the future to build the utopia they've always felt they deserved. Amphitryon is given a governor that reports to the Prime Minister of Lemuria. They're given a governor, you know, like cigarettes. Give you cancer. Standard Year 130. The first private spacecraft is launched, capable of shuttling people between Lemuria and Amphitryon. This type of travel is only available to those with a significant amount of money, which is extremely prohibitive for the lower castes. Or, as we like to say in the real world, impossible. The draftee colonists of Amphitryon, who were drawn largely from the lower castes unable to pay for a waiver of exemption, have not been granted the promised leave to visit their families on Lemuria. What begins as unrest among them turns to protests on both planets. See, Space Cases, this is what happens when you don't fill out the forms they tell you and stand in the queue like a good little wage slave. The CDF Military Police, or CDFMP, are created within the CDF to maintain law and order. A quarter of the newly minted police force deploys to Amphitryon to quell unrest. Little known fact here, Space Cases, the CDFMP had already been created to police the CDF. Standard Year 138. Talks to establish representational governments are outlawed by the passage of laws by the GOL that reinforced the caste system, because outlawing representational government has never ended badly for anyone, ever. CDFMP put down massive riots on Amphitryon and in small communities on Lemuria after families are not allowed to see one another for over a decade. Because rioting wage slaves are not happy wage slaves. Remember, Space Cases, the beatings will continue until morale improves. Standard Year 175. A second set of satellites are sent to the 2 moons in the Lemurian system that were previously determined to have atmospheres. because we still, for some reason, can't convince any scientist to get on a spacecraft and just go out there. Nysa, a moon orbiting Nirvana, the fifth planet in the system, is covered with ice and displays signs of an internal ocean with a central heat source. At a diameter of 3,300 kilometers, the EF believes the moon may be habitable using non-traditional means. They theorize they could build a colony within the ice shelf and ocean of the moon. Because once again, the GOL needs places to move people they don't like. Vanger, the second potentially habitable moon, orbits Elysia, the fourth planet in the system, and has a nitrogen atmosphere with no released oxygen. It is approximately 5,100 kilometers in diameter. The GOL authorizes the development of a spacecraft to help the EF travel. This spacecraft will utilize an experimental drive that travels at 1/10 the speed of light. It will be fueled by the tears of the disenfranchised. The GOL is certain they will be able to reach anywhere in the universe on the current supply of misery in human space. Standard Year 180. The EF launches a mission to the nearer of the two moons. 100 scientists are lost as an experimental drive seemingly obliterates the craft upon initiation. And this, space cases, is why scientists stay at home. The incident sets deep space travel back nearly 50 years. Safety protocols are reviewed. A second mission is tabled. And by reviewed, we mean that there really were no safety protocols in the first place. Standard Year 200. 3 generations have been born on Empyrean. In general, they come from the lower castes and remain workers and miners, with little hope of advancement. There's a strong resentment of the GOL and CDFMP, but many of the EFMC are born from Empyrean stock. We're going to file this under duh and move right along, shall we? 8 of Empyrea's 10 continents are inhabited. Humanity has tamed the land, and numerous crops grow easily on the surface. Lemurian crops will eventually feed the entire system, save Empyrean, where a nascent agricultural community thrives. And why should we feed them anyway? We got rid of them so we wouldn't have to deal with the scrubby wankers. And there it is. At the end of another episode of our series, Are We There Yet? I hope you've learned a little something, and if not, it's probably because you're a wage slave and you can't be taught anything. Tune in next time when we examine another 100 years of history and continue to ponder the question, how have we managed to make it this far? I'm the Space Cadet. It's a cold universe out there, space cases, so stay warm and keep your zap gun handy. Until next time.